It is now time for the return of the Hall of Famer Jerry Jones here on Sean and RJ, brought to you by our North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Good morning, Jerry. Good to have you back.
Hey, good morning, guys, and great to be on. My goodness, it just feels like old times. Let's see, is this Oxnard? No, I think I'm here at the Star, but I am this morning, as it would have it. I'm standing right here watching our practice, sitting there on about the 35-yard line, and if you get a little noise in the background, that's our team really loosening up. It's a great place to practice, and great atmosphere to really practice in. We do quite a bit of monitoring of these players nowadays, and really have great tests and great way to get the information. And if we see players that, for whatever the reason, have gotten their signals or our information at a heightened level, we pull back on them so that we don't run the risk of soft tissue tears, things like that. It's really amazing what we have at our hand to make some of these decisions on who's practicing steps, how hard they're going, all of those things.
So, Jerry, there has been a lot of noise about you guys being connected to Earl Thomas. This has been going on for years now with Cowboys rumors. He's available. How interested are you in bringing Earl Thomas to the Cowboys?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that you weigh, and it's the obvious, but it's right, is you evaluate where we are at safety, where we are in the secondary, where we are with our numbers. We had plans coming in to work potential guys that might have depth charts as corners. So a big part of where we are has to do with where we are. As you know, this year we're going to have limited time as far as our evaluation is concerned. These decisions, like the one you're talking about with Earl, they never served up like a softball. They always come in awkward. They always come in with a little hair on it, a lot of different ways. And that's where I step in and basically put all this together to whether or not it is smart to make a decision like that. I haven't visited personally with Earl. I don't know that anybody has, but that would probably be a next step if we're at a point where we need to sit there and activate this thing.
Sorry, Jerry, you broke up there for just a second. Did you say that you were not going to be interested or signing him?
No, I didn't say that at all. I said we're weighing not only where we are, the roster. I don't know if we got that part in, but big part of this decision is where we are on our roster right now. That seems elementary, but that's a big part of this. And like all of these kinds of decisions, it never comes at you real soft. And so being all of that, this is one that we, of course, had in the for years and years, it seems like. And so we know the player. We've got a good read. Everybody in the league does on how he played last year. So you know where he is skill-wise and where he is at this part of his career. All of those go into consideration. We'll have a lot of things to put in the hopper, and then I'll make the decision.
So, Jerry, a lot of people would say your current safeties are kind of – you haven't invested a lot there, that we shouldn't feel great about it. Steven said that on the station yesterday, that it's an obvious topic because of how little you guys have invested. So why should Cowboy fans feel good about the current safeties versus maybe an obvious upgrade in Earl Thomas?
Well, I think that's you decide. That's the crux of the decision. Do you go with who we've got, who we are considering? We had in our plans to evaluate some of the other guys that weren't on the depth chart as safeties. We had that in our plans. That's going on. That went on. It's going on the last couple of days. Not just because of Earl's availability, just because that's what our plans were to see where we were with some of these guys that we haven't tried at safety. So all of that is there. again, this is no secret about where Earl is, what kind of player he is, what kind of player he's been. All of those things have to be considered. At the end of the day, it's like any of these things. You have to just make a decision, and I'll be weighing all of that to make it.
So last thing on it, Jerry, Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, 27 minutes ago, tweeted the Cowboys not expected to be one of the teams vying for Earl, so the Cowboys-Thomas love affair ends here. For the record, you're not confirming that report to be true before we move on.
Exactly. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no idea what he's talking about. Okay? The only one that knows that is me, standing right here.
Yes,
Jerry
sir.
Jones joining us here right here on 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, we've talked about the safety position. Stephen alluded to the safety position. How do you guys value the position in terms of money? I know the league is not really paying the safeties that much as they think they should be paid. How does the team value the safety position in 2020?
As to how much you have invested in other positions on the team. We have our offensive line than a lot of teams do. So it's all a balance. I'll never forget when I first bought the Cowboys, I had a rider ride with me back over to my home in Arkansas, as we have it. And I was on a jet plane, and when I landed, a 5-year-old Bronco, muddy at that, I'd had it hunting, drove up and picked me up. And the guy said, "This doesn't make sense, Mr. Jones. How you're flying a jet and driving a 5-year-old muddy Bronco." And I said, "It makes all the sense in the world. You can't have it all. Something's got to give. So the way you fly jets, drive a 5-year-old muddy Bronco. That'll help you get
it done." Jerry, I want to switch over to COVID. There's been some reports of false positives around the league last week. Has that impacted the Cowboys at all?
Well, of course, frankly, and everybody's hesitant to be too positive here, but frankly, we have not had, since our official league practice has started, we have not had a positive test in the NFL. Not one. And it's really beyond our expectations, and certainly we realize that that may be an aberration in itself. But I'm very pleased with what we're doing. It actually was the fact that you had some positive tests that were false positive tests shows that our system actually, and being able to make decisions about the system, those came from 10 different teams. They were in a cluster. It was obvious the test had failed and screwed that up. And so you've got to be ready to go with that. We can't be having someone test positive but not be positive and impact our decisions on the roster. That's what happened the last couple of days, and all those players was practicing, getting ready to their teams.
Jerry, we obviously love and need football. I heard you last week on the station talk about how much you think we all need it and how much you love it. Take me through this scenario, which baseball's facing. What happens if one of your players, one of the Eagles, one of the Washington football team, the Giants, test positive, whether it's a false positive on Saturday before a game, and your guys don't want to play or the Eagles don't want to play? Does the NFL, are they going to shut it down? How do you envision that game being played if you get a real positive or a false positive a day or a couple days before a scheduled game?
We got great procedures for that. We're doing that way in advance, the testing, to see if it could potentially impact the team. That player would be isolated, and you'd go on with the ball game.
Jerry Jones joined us here at 105 through the Fan. There is some talk about, the Miami Dolphins are going to have fans in the stands, or at least wanting to have 13,000 in the stands for their opener. The Bills head coach is not happy about it. Is it fair for some teams to have fans in the stands and not fair that others can't have it?
Absolutely. The benefit of crowds are important to sports. On the other hand, is it possible to have great games without it? We saw one the other night in basketball. So, but it's fair. We've made our minds that this thing isn't going to be one way or the other. Surely about evening up everything that could be competitive. You've got to have some experience to adapt to the virus, attendance being one of them, and to the end that we can get fans enjoying these games with an experience similar to the thing they've come accustomed to is a big step in the right direction.
Jerry, we know things change with this topic week to week. Have you gotten the green light from Governor Abbott that you guys are going to be allowed to have fans at AT&T?
Absolutely. We're excited about it. He's excited about it. I'm excited that he's excited about it. We all know the importance of leading the way, and certainly we've got the ability to lead the way to a more normal type of activity throughout our, whether it be economic or whether it be social. And this is a great opportunity to do that in a very safe way. We're very unique at our stadium relative to just space, as I said the other day, and we're going to really take advantage of it.
The great Jerry Jones rejoining us here on Sean and RJ live from the Cowboys practice fields. He is violating the Cowboys media policy right now of updating us during a Cowboys practice. I think he might be able to get away with it. Jerry, what have you thought of these other bubbles in the sports world? We know you're trying to do it now at the Omni with training camp. How much talk have you guys had about a regular season or maybe even a playoff bubble?
Well, I think we have a form of bubble that we're practicing now. We have real buy-in with so many of the players, and the mentality of the bubble is the most impressive thing. We not only have the majority of the players that stay here after practice, but even the ones staying here. It's just a wearing, if you will, of as it pertains to this virus. I think all of this is good. We could have never believed that we could have the type of intense safety mentality that we have throughout the team, the players or the staff. This is working. It's working across the NFL. Anything you can do to enhance it, embellish it, make it safer is always better. But to the end that we do good practices, I think we'll be rewarded with similar to what we can say today, and that's we haven't in the NFL. Knock on wood. As to since we've started training camp, let me be real clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, how concerned are you that mentality and the players will be individually responsible throughout the season when they're not, at the Omni in order to make sure the testing or the COVID positives don't happen?
Well, I would be very concerned. I want us all to realize that this is not a given, that we can keep it safe and keep this virus as to the team from impacting our ability to practice, play the games. And so it's very important to me that anybody we have on the team or basically bring to the team shares that mentality. It's a privilege to get to play this game, and it's a privilege to have the interest visibility we have, and we ought to treat it, and we are. I really am so proud of all the players in the NFL, and certainly the Cowboys.
Jerry, tell us about the practice at the stadium on Sunday, the blue-white scrimmage. Will be fans there? How's that going to work?
Well, we, of course, will basically limit that, and we thought that was the thing to do right now. We wanted to focus on really the practice, the basic implementing the practices there in the stadium. It'll be the first time that we've been there at AT&T, and I think it'll work real good. I was debating whether to have a lot of fans out there or not, and we thought we'll just save that for our opening day.
Jerry Jones joined us here at 105 through the Fan. Tatari Poe said that he still plans to kneel for the anthem, but hasn't had a conversation with you about that yet. What would you do if someone did decide to kneel for the anthem? Is that something that's going to be a team policy this year, or how's that going to work?
Well, we're, as we always have, frankly, but to answer you specifically, sit down and visit. By the time that we have the first game, I will have visited with him more than likely on an individual basis. All of that will come to play, and we'll have a plan that recognizes what he's trying to do and the way he's trying to do it, and everybody's going to be sensitive to, on the other hand, be sensitive to what it is we're about. We're out there to ask the fans to follow, be attentive to us, and we're well aware of the issue and well aware of where Dallas Cowboys fans are on it. All of that will be put in the hopper, and we'll see how we handle it.
Jerry, last thing, and you can kill me here for trying to read between the lines. I thought you did a nice compromise when this first came up in Arizona, and you guys kneeled before the anthem, and then you stood for the anthem. Am I reading between the lines correctly in thinking that you're trying to come up with a similar compromise instead of saying, yes, everyone can kneel if they want, or the other side? You're trying to come up with a little balance there like you did against the Cardinals?
Yes, you are. That's fair. And that, at the end of the day, was a recognition that we support our players. I knelt with our players, as you know, on a personal basis, but as a team, we all knelt together before the anthem, and then we stood for the anthem to recognize what its symbol is to America. And I thought that was good, and that's the kind of thing that we'll be looking to see if we can implement.
Jerry, great to have you back. It's been too long. Hopefully you continue to stay safe. You've kept hope alive for the Earl Thomas of the Cowboy fans that are listening for now, and we'll talk to you next week.
Well, I intend to do that message. Thank you, guys.